Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be focusing on creating a low poly model for this workstation that's going to be in my other shop. So first I want to talk about creating a more simpler prop like this bucket for example, and a more complicated prop like this fan, which also will be a great way for me to show you a really useful tool that's called the spin tool. And after that, I'm just gonna move on to optimizing the props for a game. Obviously, I don't have enough time to show you the modeling of every single prop, but the workflow that I'm gonna be showing you is pretty much applicable to everything. So yeah, let's just go right ahead. So for props like the bucket, well, I mean for any prop that's like sitting like on a shelf, like in this case, I usually like to just take a face from the object that my mesh is sitting on. It just makes it easier. You can always shift and right click to add the cursor, which determines where your mesh, the one that you add, like where it's gonna appear, as you can see. But yeah, I usually just keep it with the world's origin. Just take this, select this face, shift D to duplicate it, right click to cancel that P selection. There you go. Then I have this, and then I add a couple loop twos with Control and R. Let's say 3 here, and then 3 on the other side. A to select the whole thing, right click, use your loop tools add-on, which if you don't have enabled, enable it. Select circle. I'll delete these vertices and I'll just scale it down with S, GX on the x-axis. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Then just press Control and E, not Control, press E, and then Z to move it up, then Control, not Control, on my days, E, S to scale it a little bit, then again E, Z, E, S, just extrude it inwards. These look a bit, there you go. Yeah, so that is pretty much how you get the basic shape of the bucket. For this sort of handle, I added a edge loop with Control and R. Select the starting point, holding Control, select the end point, which in this case chooses the path behind the bucket. So just select one like in the middle, and then the end one, Shift D, separate it. Once you have it selected, um, I like to go to Object, Convert, Curve, and turns it into a curve. This is very useful because then it's very easy to give it some depth. If you go to this icon here, the curve data, and then you go to the geometry tab, then you have this bevel option. So just give it a little bit of depth. Since this is a low poly mesh, you don't really need that much resolution, so just go for like 1 2. What did I use here? Oh wow, yeah. So I've used probably was yeah, I've used 0. There you go. So then just go into edit mode, and now you can move these around. So I just easily just Control Z, sorry, GZ to move these sort of down like that. And I just just move it a little bit, scale it a little bit so it sticks out. So once you're happy with the end result, just go again back to Object, Convert, Mesh, and that's pretty much how you get a mesh from a curve and a curve from a mesh. Yeah, this is pretty much how I modeled the a simpler object like the bucket. So let's now move on to the more complicated one, which is the fan. So for the fan, I did the exact same thing. I duplicated his face, separated it into a completely new mesh. I gave it a couple edge loops. I'm pretty sure that I gave it more than 3, so let's just go with 4. Select the whole thing, turn it into a circle. Remove these vertices here in the middle because we don't need them. And then just yeah, just scale it down to the size you want. And extrude it up Z, and then ES to scale it to get this well, whatever this is called. Then I just added 2 more for a better shape, but I'm pretty sure that once I optimize it, I'm probably just gonna have only one. And I extrude this up, scale it down a little bit. Just make it more narrow. Then I copied this circle, separate it into a new mesh. Then I selected it, and I selected this vert because it's sort of in the middle. I changed this option to active element, and I rotated RX around the x-axis 90 degrees, so RX 90. on your keyboard to rotate it like that, and then go EY to where I want it, and then let's see, I just move that, scale it a little bit, EY again, and then again, then scale it down, sort of make it look more circular. Then I scale these, then I just press M, which is the merge option, center, and just move this somewhere closer to here to get a more curved surface. And then I scale that a little bit, and I scale that down a little bit, just medium point, like that. There you go. So now here's where I'm going to show you the spin tool, which is very useful tool to use when you want to rotate, when you want to duplicate objects in a circular manner, which is also used in rims when creating cars. First of all, pick the center point that you want to be rotating around, which for us is this little vertex, and then press Control Shift S, and then go cursor to select it, to move the cursor here, because the spin tool works relative to the cursor. So now we have it here. Now I want to add the blades. So just select these ones, Shift D Y selection, and then I just I moved it closer here, and model your blade. Just extrude it, scale it up. Just play around with the shape a little bit until you get something you like. Give it some thickness by extruding on the y-axis. So now what you want to do is you want to select your object. You want to click on the spin tool, and as you can see, this appears, which, as I said, is relative to the cursor. For us specifically right now, we need to have selected the y-axis, but you can also go X, Z, depending on what you need. So just rotate it around, change this to -360 or 360, depending on the direction you're rotating. Change your number, like for me, it's 4. So you can select use duplicates or not. So the duplicates just duplicates the original one, which I don't really see why you'd use it, but yeah. This is pretty much how I created the plates. Obviously, you can play around with the shape. This is just a very rough example of how I did it. Now for the well, for this thing, which originally should look like that for you, I again used what I have. I usually try to use the vertices, edges, and faces that I already have on the mesh, because I think it's just way easier to work with them. Because for example, if I want to put this thing on top of the mesh, it's just much easier to get an edge that's already there because it's already connected with the mesh itself. Then I duplicated it backwards, and yeah, and then added another one in here, let's say a little bit inwards, duplicated, separated it, and removed it from here with Control and X to dissolve it. Then I joined it with what I already have. Now it's just easy. Just select these two edges, press F, then select this one, and just start spamming F, and that's how you get it. And then we just need to fill this. I mean, you can even hold F. So yeah, just now get this one, take it outwards a little bit. Then I added a couple in here, and I scale them up. You obviously start with one, and then when you start adding the smooth curve, you're gonna see that you're gonna need a lot more edges than what you already have, but that's okay because you're gonna be optimizing everything later anyway, so it's completely fine. There you go. And then just yeah, added 2 more, move them a bit on the y-axis, like a smoother curve. 2 more here, move them again on the y-axis. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So usually, this in an actual fan wouldn't look like that, like there are holes in it. So now that's what I'm going to talk about, because now it's time to move on to the optimization of everything. Okay, so now it's time to optimize the model. First thing that I would advise you is to go up here on this little arrow next to these circles and enable your statistics so you can keep track of your triangles. Game engines, they work with triangles, so that's why you want to keep track of them. As you can see now, there's 6,034, so we'll see how many we're gonna have at the end. Then the other thing that I usually do before optimizing is selecting everything, shift it to duplicate it, and then I just move it to a different scene, which for me is this interior high poly. I do that because it's a lot easier to create a high poly from this version. Because when you start adding triangles and then subdivision surface modifiers, it becomes a mess. It's harder to work. So just copy that and then start optimizing. I know people who don't do that. I know people who just create a high poly and then start creating their low poly, which is not necessarily wrong. I just think that it's a necessary waste of time. So yeah, for optimization, first thing, triangles are fine, perfectly fine, especially in hard surface models like these. Now, if you're gonna have any soft body meshes like characters or creatures in areas of deformation like their elbows and knees, you're gonna need squares there because that's just how deformation works better. But for hard surface models, triangles are perfectly fine, like wherever you want to put them. In cars, just pay attention to the reflections because they do affect them. So you want to be careful with that. But yeah, let's now just optimize this because that's what we're here to talk about. First things first is to delete all of your faces that are not going to be visible. Like there's literally a wall there, so you're not going to be seeing that, so you don't need it. The same as here, just delete those faces. If you don't see them, you don't need them. That's as simple as it is. Even up here, these faces. There you go. This is the first thing I usually do. I can go around and just start deleting faces. The other thing after that I do is to start removing edge loops that I don't need. I think that this bot is a good example. So for the bot, as you can see, everything in here we don't really need because first of all, it doesn't add much. It can add a little bit of the deformation, but realistically, depending on the viewing angle, it's probably not going to be visible. So there's no point, like absolutely no point in you know in keeping them. I also shade smooth everything, and then I add you know shade smooth depending on how the model works. I sometimes shade smooth everything, not always. Sometimes um auto smooth is better. As you can see for this thing, it looks disgusting. If auto smooth is fine. Okay. Anyway, so let's now talk about optimization. So first things first, uh I'll talk about these vertices. These 9 vertices, we don't need them. Okay, so I'll just select all of them, M at center, M at center, M at center, and then these three at center again. Now I'm gonna keep these here. Like this is more of a specific situation, but the reason is that we have like this is a circle, this isn't. So in order to keep this transition in the variation of the body, uh, it's usually good to keep the geometry flowing a little bit further more, just to get, you know, a nice transition there. These faces, we don't fucking need them. How am I selecting all of these? I don't know. Deselect these faces. There you go. Oh wow, a lot's being added here. Anyways, so yeah. Sorry for the slight interruption. Clicked F10 by accident. Yeah, just delete those phases, merge those in the center. And you can even, depending on reflection and how it looks, you can even drag this further down for this thing specifically. When you have overlapping vertices, you want to press A to select everything and then M by distance. That's how I remove the vertices. So this looks perfectly fine, at least in my opinion. So then you just have to do the exact same thing on the other side. Yeah. So this is what you want to do. You want to delete the faces you don't need, and then you want to start adding your triangles in places that you're not gonna have any sort of visibility. Like this bucket here. Let me just take these faces, Control I to invert the selection, H to hide it. So now you can see here, this is not visible. So I just merge the vertices that are next to each other in their own central point. And then I just do it again because why not? And then we have this triangle, L and H, to reveal what's left. And there you go. Uh, yeah, you can you can make this now bigger, move it down, and then this with kind of like a sharp edge here. Just create like a definition to it. I usually use bevels in the high poly to create nice edge reflections because bevels create a nicer edge reflection. But that's not again we're going to talk about that later. We'll create the high poly. Yeah, so this is basically my process. I remove edges that faces that I don't need, and then edges that I don't need because triangles are perfectly fine. So yeah, I'll be right back when everything is done. Okay, so here's everything optimized. You're gonna notice a slight inconsistency with the props. There was a problem when recording. So this is essentially at the end of everything. This is what I did. I duplicated a bunch of props, but it's a really good way to show what good optimization looks like and does for you. Because right now we're currently at 13,000 triangles, which is not a lot at all, but there are a lot of props on here. And for things like these Modero bottles, you could easily have remove these as well, and had them baked with a normal map. I left them. Realistically, yeah. If you needed the triangles, I'd say yeah, remove them if you're doing this exact thing. But in general, when you're doing something and you need the triangles somewhere else, just optimize as much as you can. But let me now turn on the wireframe to show you what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of triangles. This face inside here, these faces had been joined. This does not have a face in here. I removed it. You can see the triangles in here to essentially get the poly count from from this many to this many. Essentially, what is that? 24 vertices down to 12, so half that shit. Because realistically, if you look at it like that with the texture, that is weird. You're gonna see, the shape of it that is considerably circular. Of course, you know, from any other angle, you might find, a little bit of a sharp corners and stuff, but in a real game, that is perfectly fine. So yeah, this is pretty much the optimization done. As you can see, there are a lot of props, as I said, and we're only at we're barely just above 13,000 triangles. Then again, with all of these smaller oil bottles, if I decide to remove these and that indentation as well, the poly count will also drop down significantly. So yeah, thank you for watching. Remember, triangles are perfectly fine. Optimize as much as you like. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.